Mr. Johnston, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Mr. Reid is also with you.
Yes, he's on the phone as well, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Reid, for joining us. First of all, Mr. Johnston, tell us about the comments that Mayor Kennedy made. And that was kind of very astounding, and said that we are sitting on the verge of bankruptcy. What was the reason behind him saying that? That was a big statement.
Well, firstly, I just really want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak to your listeners and to address their questions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that said, I know we won't be able to get to everyone's questions in this hour, and so if your listeners are looking for more information about COVID and the city's response, please do visit our website in English and in Punjabi. We've got a section just for on Punjabi at vancouver.ca/COVID-19 Punjabi.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want me to take breaks for translation?
No, I can translate it later. I can explain it to them.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we are working to offer more resources in Punjabi, accurate and timely information that people can trust directly from the city, and our Punjabi webpage also lists the resources from other levels of government and community organizations. So we are trying as much as we can to get timely information out. And regarding our financial position, we are definitely looking to reduce our costs because our revenues are down. We have a budget gap in the 2020 budget of about $150 million, and so we are very much looking to reduce our costs, but I think we are in a very strong financial position right now, despite the challenges we are facing, and we are looking to reduce our costs to address those challenges. And I don't.
But people still want to know why those comments by the mayor were made. Is there a real problem there financially? Because he said, "Well, we can go bankrupt." What was the reason behind it?
Well, I mean, I wasn't there, but I think the mayor was raising the concerns that many cities across the world and across Canada are facing very, very significant financial challenges, and was calling on the other level of the government to be a part in helping to address that.
Mm-hmm. Let's speak to Mr. Reid. Mr. Reid, welcome.
Hi there. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, actually. I've been looking forward to it.
We were discussing about the statement issued by Mayor Kennedy Stewart at that time about bankruptcy. It was also said that we might have to lay off some firefighters. So how did you feel?
Well, I knew that the city on the whole, that all of the departments would come together and work on a plan to address the financial situation that we were in, which the city manager just alluded to. And the fire department has found some other ways to make savings. We're going to delay the hiring for people that retire, make some changes to our training and our operations model for the time that COVID continues to impact us and impact the city financially. And the fire department has actually been well supported by the city and by council, and we're in a good position right now during COVID response.
Mm-hmm. So there's no fear of layoffs anymore?
At this point in time, we are doing well with the resources that we have, and we've continued to provide a really high level of response to the City of Vancouver.
Please hold on. And Mr. Johnston, could you tell us a little bit more about this budget cut that has happened today? I understand it's an $8.5 million budget cut in the police department, and I don't think Police Chief Palmer is very happy. So what would you like to say about that?
Yeah, as we're saying, we are looking for budget savings across the entire organization, and we have currently about 1,800 staff that are laid off temporarily. So we are looking for all parts of the organization to try to help to save money, so we can weather the storm and avoid the challenges that you were talking about earlier. So Council has asked the police department over the last couple of months to find some savings as well. You just heard from the fire chief some ways that the fire department is finding savings, and so Council has asked the police department to find savings of 1% of their budget. And it's not $8 million, but it's $3 million. And Council feels very confident that those savings can be found, as they have been with the fire department. Across the entire city, we've reduced our budget by about 10%. So we're now asking the police department. Council has asked the police department for a 1% savings to contribute to that.
Mm-hmm. Are you suspecting that some of the people won't be able to pay their taxes? But I understand that a lot of people are paying their taxes monthly.
Yes, many people pay their taxes monthly. That's right. Obviously, we are concerned about the viability of property taxes, as well as from residents, but also from businesses. And so that is a concern that cities across Canada have expressed. And the provincial government has put measures in to delay the taxes so that people have more time if they need it.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's another thing that, if you can clarify that there are a lot of racist incidents are happening targeting Chinese people, particularly in Vancouver. How are you folks dealing with that?
Well, this is a very, very concerning what's happening across the world, but in our city as well. And we've been very clear that is not acceptable. That we as a culture, we as a people cannot accept that kind of treatment, and we've come out very strongly against that, both on the elected officials. The city we've made it very clear, and I know the police have been addressing that as well. So, that type of behavior is unacceptable in our city.
Mm-hmm. Are you making special policy or taking special measures in order to kind of ensure that it doesn't happen again?
Well, what we're asking is for civility and all people to stand up against that kind of behavior. And so, yes, we have definitely been doing what we can through our communications with our staff and with the public to stand up against that. And we think it's very important that people stand up against it when they see it in taking place in the community.
Chief Reid, the Manager, Mr. Johnston, आए हुए ने साडे caller ने Daljit ji. Hello, caller.
हाँ जी, सत श्री अकाल जी, and good morning to all your guests. I have a question. Like, this is first time it happened in our city. Like, I will say since I'm here 30 years, never it happened. Was city not ready? They didn't have any reserve funds or anything. Like, were they overspending? Were they wasting money earlier? Didn't they thought about any time if they need some money? Didn't they have any reserve? Like, how come this big city who hosted 2010, all of a sudden they are out of funds within like 2 months? It's been March 15, 16 we declared, right? So it's not like a 6 month or a year. How come they are kind of saying, oh, we are running out of shortfall in money, budgeting? They should be thinking, looking at bigger picture earlier.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Let me ask him. Mr. Johnston?
Would you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, the caller is surprised that it's such a big city. Don't you have any savings? Don't you have any reserves? Don't you have endowment funds or any kind of rainy season protection?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah. The city of Vancouver, obviously we take our finances very seriously. We are the only city in Canada to have a AAA credit rating from both of the credit rating agencies. And we do have money in reserves. We have a rainy day fund, and we have about $130 million in that fund, and we expect, in order to balance our budget in 2020, that we will need to use some of that rainy day fund. We also use those funds when we have a very big snowstorm or when there's other emergencies, so we don't want to use all of that money in one year. And we recognize that the impact on our revenue from reduced parking and civic theaters and whatnot may be low for a couple of years. So we do not want to use all of our reserves in 1 year. And so that's why we are looking to save money and reduce our budget, and why we've pursued temporary layoffs and reducing all of our discretionary spending so we can balance our budget.
No, that's fine. But I think the intention of the caller is that we are hearing that City of Vancouver has millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of property before you go bankrupt.
Oh, the city, we do own property, yeah, and I think if we were in a very, very bad financial position, some of that property could be sold. Obviously, we would prefer to reduce our spending, and then use some of our savings if we have to. Selling real estate when the market is down like this is not the best timing, and so it's not something that we would choose to do unless we really were forced to.
Mm-hmm. Our next caller is Baljinder Singh ji.
Harjinder Thind Sahab ji, I want to ask the city PCL that you guys have a rainy days budget, and why you guys want to go for layoffs? Whole world is suffering now, and whole world is helping the people for their jobs, and you guys want to lay off those guys? Federal government have a 75% subsidy. Why you guys not explore the possibility for that? If a big organization just like Air Canada can hold their employee, why you guys looking for a layoff people in the COVID-19? And you guys think we people are smart? Hold on the project. What we are doing for contractors. Hold on street, making streets, and not lay off any person.
Thank you. Mr. Johnston, you probably felt the anger of the caller. Have you understood the question?
Yeah, if I understood the question is why have we laid off people?
Yeah, we're laying off people.
Yes. Well, obviously, that's a very, very difficult decision. You've just outlined the financial challenges that we have as an organization. We have to reduce our budget in 2020 by 10%. And the majority of our budget is paying our staff. And so we're taking a balanced approach to reduce our spending on non-discretionary things, and using some of our savings, and we have had to take some temporary layoffs in order to balance the budget. Legally, as a city, we are required to have a balanced budget at the end of the year, just like in our houses. Our households, we don't balance our budget, and so that's a very, very difficult decision that we've had to make. These layoffs are temporary, though.
Well, he also said that these are the unprecedented times. It's a crisis time. Why don't you take advantage of the other government's funding plans or benefits, like where they're giving wage subsidy and everything else? So why didn't you explore that?
Well, we are, unfortunately, cities are not eligible for those various financial programs from the federal government. We have been advocating with the federal government to allow us to participate in those wage subsidy programs, but municipalities are not eligible for them, unfortunately, and that's something that has been a real challenge for cities across Canada.
Mm-hmm. And the fire chief, Mr. Reid, Vancouver is a hub of multiculturalism. How is the city ensuring that the most vulnerable people who don't talk much of English, they get accommodated? And also, is your workforce reflecting the diversity?
So to the first question, right now the Emergency Operations Center has a really strong team assembled to be able to communicate to all the different groups in our community. And I would say that this radio program is one small example of that. The translation of materials and documents, the website that the city manager referenced earlier, a lot of work has gone into building better links with the community. I think COVID has actually been an energizer for building better communication throughout the community. And we're learning some good lessons that are going to apply for the city post-COVID as well. Social media and other media, there have been a variety of different types of communications that have been rolling out to all different language groups in the community as well. So I think, generally speaking, we can always do better, but I think in the last few months we've come a significant way, informed directly by community members and by frontline city staff that are working with those communities face-to-face. On the side of diversity of the fire department, absolutely an area that we are moving towards improving, and we just recently were able to hire, actually, Siwa Pangalia is his name. He's our new assistant chief for diversity, inclusion, and he's been working on some strategies to better engage different communities and let them know that the fire department is a great career choice. We have doubled the number of applicants of diverse applicants over the last less than 2 years, but the numbers are still too small, and it is something that we take very seriously and are working to address.
And also, Mr. Johnston, City of Vancouver is often treated as an individual organism rather than the whole BC. What is the city doing in order to support its businesses, residents, and particularly the commercial tenants?
Yeah, thanks. If I can just say on the last question that you were asking about vulnerable people in the community, I also just wanted to recognize that there is a long tradition of generosity in the community. The Guru Nanak Free Kitchen and Khalsa Diwan Society have continued to provide meals to those in need during this crisis. And that's been a very important part. The various community organizations are playing a very important role in working with the city to provide those services. And we really, really understand that this is a very difficult situation, and I acknowledge the frustration that people are facing. And so we are working now, starting to put plans together to see how we can start to restore our services and move toward working with all of the cities in the Lower Mainland so that we are aligned around what types of services we can start to open safely. So that kind of coordination is going to be very, very important.
ਗੁਰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਗੁਰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਮੇਰੇ ਦੋ ਸਵਾਲ ਨੇ ਜੀ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੁਣ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਟੈਕਸ ਡਿਡਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਮਰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਪਰਸੈਂਟ ਘੱਟ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ COVID-19 ਦਾ ਕਰਕੇ, ਹਨਾ
ਵੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਪਾਉਣੇ ਟੈਕਸ?
ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀ, ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੁਛ ਅੱਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਾ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਘੱਟ ਕਰਨਗੇ, ਕੋਈ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨਗੇ, ਥੋੜਾ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਟੈਕਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਨਾ, ਟੈਕਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ। ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨਾਲੋਂ। ਤੇ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਚਲੋ ਫਾਇਰ ਫਾਈਟਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੇ ਆਫ ਕਰਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ, ਪਰ ਸਿਟੀ ਹਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਐਕਸਟਰਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਓਵਰ ਸਟਾਫ ਨੇ, ਲੋਕ ਬੈਠੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉੱਥੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਟਲੀ ਸਟਾਫ ਸਿਟੀ ਹਾਲ ਚੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ।
ਓਕੇ ਜੀ, ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnston, the caller is saying that she wanted to ask one question, and she has a comment to make too. She said that, are you going to give them a tax break because in the light of this COVID-19? And also she wants to know that she not really know. She want to tell you that City Hall has too many employees. They sit there and gossip, and that's okay to lay those off because you have too many employees anyway. So what's your comment, Mr. Johnston?
Oh, well, firstly, thank you for the call. And I really recognize that we all recognize that the COVID-19 epidemic is creating very, very considerable financial strain on our businesses and our residents in Vancouver and in the region, and we really recognize the financial strain it's causing. As we've talked about throughout the show, we as a city are and the organization are facing also big financial challenges with big reductions in our revenue. So we are at this point we are not providing tax relief. We have delayed the due date on the property taxes to October, so giving people more time to hopefully recover from the COVID impact and to be able to pay their taxes. So that is definitely something that Council has approved, and they were obviously very concerned about the financial well-being of our residents and businesses. And then regarding the comment, I think we are a large organization, and I think our staff work very, very hard and are being very innovative to address the financial challenges, but also how to work in a different way. And so I'm saddened to hear of the concerns about our employees that were expressed, but I am very proud of our staff and their dedication and their commitment. Many of them working, reviewing permits, and doing other things throughout this whole COVID epidemic.
Mr. Brard.
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਭਾਈ ਜੀ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਇਹ ਮੋਸਟ ਹਾਈਐਸਟ ਟੈਕਸ ਪੇਡ ਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਟੈਕਸ, ਜਿਹੜਾ $2-3,000 ਆਮ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਟੈਕਸ ਸੀਗਾ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ 10-15 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, ਆ ਪਿਛਲੇ 10 ਸਾਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਇੰਨੀ ਮਿਸਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਸਿਟੀ ਹਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹ $10,000 ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਘਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੀ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਉੱਥੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਜਿਵੇਂ 40-40, 50-50 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜੀ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਚਲਾਉਂਦਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਰੈਂਚਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ 8-10 ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਟੈਕਸ। ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਜੀ ਆਪਦੀ ਪੈਨਸ਼ਨ 'ਚ? ਨਾਲੇ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਮਰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਹੈਗੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਈ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਟੈਕਸ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆ ਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਹੀ ਨਾ ਜੀ। ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਇਹ ਡੀਲ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਸਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਸਿਟੀ ਹਾਲ 'ਚ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ। Mr. Johnston, the caller is saying that Vancouver City is the highest tax city, and he says, I'm a taxi driver there. In the last few years, in 10 to 15 years, the taxes where their house was taxed at $2,000 to $3,000. Now, because of your mismanagement, it's gone up to $10,000. He says all seniors will pay these $8,000 to $10,000. And on commercial properties, taxes are very, very high. So what's your take on it?
Well, thank you for the raising the concerns.
He used mismanagement twice.
Well, obviously that's a concern to me. We work very hard to manage the city well. We have actually had some of the lowest tax increases of any municipality in the region over the last decade. And we work very, very hard to keep the taxes down and to provide the services that our residents rely on, and to do that in an efficient way. So, we do get audited by KPMG every year. So I feel pretty confident that there is not mismanagement. Not everyone agrees with every decision that our council makes or that the staff make, but we do work very hard, and we're very committed to providing good services to our community and to our residents. We've had some of the lowest tax increases of any city in the region, and our taxes are lower than most of the big cities across North America. So we do work very hard to keep taxes low here.
Preetam Singh ji, Jian.
Hanji, Harjinder Singh ji, I need to ask a question to Mr. Johnston.
Sure.
They have a separate office for collecting the alarm tax, alarm permit tax. We pay the city tax, and then we separately pay the alarm permit tax. Why can't they change the computer system and add that collecting the alarm permit tax within that tax? And they don't need then separate office to rent, and they don't need to hire more people.
Okay. Mr. Johnston?
Oh, so yeah, thanks. I think the false alarm permits, I think you're talking about. Yeah, thanks for raising that. I think that's one of many things that we are looking at in terms of ways to be more efficient. I mean, obviously, not everyone in the city has to pay that. That's only for people that have the alarms, and so the majority of our residents don't have to pay that. So we can't put it in on with the rest of the tax for the residents. But there may be ways that we can improve it, and we'd be looking at that as a part of our review of how we do our business. So thanks for raising that.
Also, Mr. Johnston, how much money you're spending on beautifying that elevator? I understand you're spending more than $1 million. What's going on?
Oh, I think you're talking about the elevator in the in City Hall. Yeah,
the mayor's I saw the tender. So mayor needs that fancy elevator.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a fancy elevator, and it's not for the mayor. It's a second elevator in the building, and it's used for the top 7 stories of the building, and it needed to be serviced. So that's not I wouldn't say it's a new elevator, and I wouldn't say it's a fancy elevator. It's just part of the building maintenance.
How much money is being spent on it?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's I can assure you there's nothing fancy about it. It's just maintaining the elevator in the building.
So is it close to $2 million?
No, I don't know exactly what the number is on it, but it's
Does that go to the mayor's office?
No, it's just part of the building maintenance. It doesn't go. It goes up to the top, the first 7 floors of the building.
Okay. ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਜੀ
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਥਿੰਦ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣੇ ਆਇਆ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ, ਹਨਾ? ਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਮਾਰਚ 'ਚ ਆਇਆ ਨਾ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਆ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ, ਇਹ ਵਰਲਡ ਦੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਮਹਿੰਗੇ ਤੇ ਸੋਹਣੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਜੀ। ਇਹਦੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਟੂਰਿਸਟ ਵੀ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਘੁੰਮਣ ਆਇਆ, ਮਤਲਬ ਤੇ ਗੇਮਸ ਵੀ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਸੀ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ। ਮਤਲਬ ਇੰਨੀ ਇਨਕਮ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਇੱਥੇ, ਉਹ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ 'ਚ ਨਾ। ਮਤਲਬ 8 ਦਿਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਰੀ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਹੋਇਆ, ਹਨਾ? ਮਤਲਬ ਉਸੇ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਡਿਕਲੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੈਂਕਰਪਸੀ ਵੱਲ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਸੇਵਿੰਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਰੀ? ਮਤਲਬ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਾਰਡ ਟਾਈਮ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਸੇਵ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ? ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਾਡੇ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਨੇ, ਆਪਣਾ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਇੰਨਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੈ ਨੀਗਾ ਇੰਨਾ, ਹਨਾ? ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਸੇਮ ਇਸੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਬੈਂਕਰਪਸੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੇ ਲੋਕ ਟੈਕਸ ਪੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਆ। ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਥੋੜੀ ਡਾਊਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ
ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ Mr. Johnston. The caller is saying that she made a comment that Vancouver City is a beautiful city and it's been very expensive city. A lot of people come and visit there, and there has been a lot of income. And what really happened? Why you guys don't have any savings? Why Mayor said that they're close to the bankruptcy, while Mayor of Surrey said we don't need the handouts?
Yeah, thanks. I guess just to reiterate the points that I made earlier, we do have savings. We just don't want to spend it all right away. I think Vancouver in many ways has been hit harder financially by the COVID crisis because we generate more of our money for the city from revenue streams than some other cities do. And so like the parking, the civic theaters, programming, and the various recreational facilities. So we generate revenue from our various activities. About 25% of the funding for the city comes from revenues that we generate instead of taxes. And so when the COVID hits so hard financially, we do take a hit, and that's why we're trying to save the money that we're trying to save in order to have a balanced budget.
ਅਗਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਾਲਰ ਨੇ ਰਣਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ। ਰਣਦੀਪ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
I just want to comment that Mr. Johnston has no information about the elevator. He's a manager and he's not giving a clear information. I request to BC government should investigate this city when it's not going on something. It's a fishy going on. There should be investigate.
Thank you. Mr. Johnston?
Thanks. Yeah, the cost to repair the elevator is $325,000. And as I said, when people are using the building, it's important that all of our buildings are safe. And so on a very, very old building like this, here at City Hall, I think almost 100 years old, we need to make sure that the systems are operating. And so we are spending $300,000 on modernizing the entire elevator to make sure it's safe.
To replace the golden leaves and other things?
No, there's no golden leaves or anything. It's cables and machinery. Yeah.
ਗੁਰਦੀਪ ਸੰਧੂ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਨਾ we are not satisfied with the mayor any answer at all. He does not have proper answer. I'm living in Vancouver for the last 44 years. And I don't know, when, he took charge of the city, he does not have, like now he's telling that 300,000 before you ask him how much, and he did not give any figure, right? And he is only backing up his staff, I don't think so he's capable of being a manager. Honestly speaking, no. No satisfactory answer at all. Thank you.
Thank you, G. Mr. Johnston, she's not happy with you and with the mayor. She says that you are supporting your staff, you're backing them up, and you're not giving the right information.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you for the feedback.
Thank you very much. So, I would like to ask Mr. Reid, anything you'd like to add in closing, Mr. Reid?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'd just like to say I completely understand the frustration from the community around the economic situation that the pandemic has created. And, the city is one more employer that has unfortunately faced layoffs and all of the pain that goes with that. And we certainly feel that directly as well. But I want to talk about something else really quickly, and that's how good the response to COVID-19 has been in the city of Vancouver and by extension in British Columbia. And if you look at the work that the city's Emergency Operations Center has done with staff from all of the city departments working together, we have fed thousands of people who are in vulnerable communities. We have improved our ability to communicate with those communities. We have, as a city, had one of the lowest ICU rates and death rates of any major cities in certainly in North America. And there's been a lot of amazing work that's gone into that from city staff and also from our partners. So I just want to make sure that's out there as well, that I'm very proud of the work that's gone into response to COVID.
Thank you, Mr. Reid. And Mr. Johnston, I can't take any more calls. Anything you'd like to add in closing?
Well, firstly, just thanks for the honest conversation here today and for people raising their concerns.
Yeah, my suggestion is that we should do it more often so people have no build-up. So, I mean, people had so many questions and we still have lots of callers. So I think we should do these sessions more often.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, I really appreciated the opportunity to address the concerns, and I do want to say that Punjabi and the South Asian culture has had a huge influence in Vancouver for generations, and the city supports arts organizations like Indian Summer Festival, which is now launching a virtual festival this weekend. And so, I think it's really important that we continue to find ways in the COVID era to continue to celebrate the culture in our community, like 5X Fest, South Asian Arts, the Monsoon Festival, the annual Diwali Fest. Like, they're really important parts of our community and the fabric, and we recognize that this has been an unprecedented time for us, and I want to acknowledge that everyone in Vancouver is experiencing some level of hardship, some more than others, and we as a city recognize that, and we still need to find ways to celebrate the culture and the amazing vibrancy of our community. And so, there's challenges, but there's also amazing culture to celebrate together too.
Mr. Johnston, thank you very much for your time, and we will chat again.
Yes, thank you. Really appreciated it. Okay, take care.
Red FM